Hello guys, welcome to a new vlog. I'm just doing a bit of a vlogging video really regarding testing some lenses out, the 100 to 400 EF lens and the 300 EF lens 2.8. So welcome to the YouTube channel Paul Brogden Photography. Thank you for visiting. Please subscribe and like the video if you can. So I'm just going to do a bit of a walk down, a few lens testing of the two lenses, see how they do. I've got the 2x and 1.4 extenders as well with me, the EF versions, and we're just going to test them out. So I'm just going to go around Bridlington Seaside Resort and get some video footage for you guys. So guys, I've been testing the 100 to 400 Mark II EF lens versus the 300 Mark II 2.8 lens. Both of them are performing equally as well. In this amount of light, there's no major problems. So we've been testing these lenses on the R6 and it's doing remarkably well, the R6 is. Eye tracking focus works fantastic. You know, excellent.
Rod?
Yeah.
It's electric handbrake.
Where is it?
It just comes off when you reverse.
Right.
and ladies, we're back in the office checking some images out. So the first image will be from the 100-400 Mark II EF lens at 300mm. So the zoom range is 100 to 400, but we've set it to 300mm versus the prime, which is this one here, which is a 300 2.8 Mark II L EF lens. And all images are at ISO 2000 on the R6, and we've got a shutter speed ranging between 5,000th of a second and 8,000th of a second at f8. It's incredibly bright today, very sunny. I got sunburnt basically, so you're going to be maxing your shutter speed out, quite literally, out in the sun. So I want to touch on focus breathing, because a lot of people have touched on this and said the zooms, whether it be the 100 to 500 RF or the 100 to 400 EF lens, suffers with focus breathing at short distances, and that's true. However, at long distances you don't notice that focus breathing, and I'll show you exactly what I mean here. So this is at 300mm on the zoom, and that's 300mm on the prime, and they're pretty much identical. Now I estimate a distance of maybe 30 meters away, so obviously you can clearly see that we're getting good results. Anyway, this video is all about looking at sharpness. I want to have a look, and the only way of doing that is to literally zoom right in there and pixel peep. So let's get in there at 100% in the center here, and let's focus our attention on this rope towing area. Do the same on the prime. So let's zoom in. This is on the R6 20 megapixel camera. So if we have a look at the image quality at f8, I'm not detecting that much of a difference. It's up to you guys to make your mind up what you think. So let's just move that across. And move that across. So that's the 300 2.8, and that's the 100 400 set to 300mm. And to be honest with you, there is very little difference in the center. I can't see much of a difference in the center. However, let's have a look over here in the corner. See if we can see any differences. Let's focus our attention on this lettering here on the 100 to 400. Do the same, and look up here, and let's see if we can tell if there's any sort of increased sharpness at all. So that's the 300 prime, and that's the 100 to 400. I have to be honest with you, I'm not detecting any sort of major differences. They seem to be as sharp as each other. So, okay, let's move on to the next image. So, here we have some lights, probably a bit closer now. We're probably talking 15 meters away. So that's a 100 to 400. Again, I want to clear this up with focus breathing. It's only really close distances. We're talking a few meters that you'll see focus breathing. So again, that's 400mm on the 300mm on the 100 to 400, and that's 300mm on the prime. And you can see the pretty nice on each particular lens. So that's the zoom, and that's the prime. So let's just zoom in there, see if we can have a look at this bolt at 100%. Do that on the zoom, 100%. Is there any sort of clarity? I would say sharp, at closer distances, the prime is winning out here. You can clearly see that that bolt isn't that clear. So let's zoom in at 200% on the zoom, and let's zoom in there on the prime. So that's the prime and that's the zoom, and I'd say the prime is definitely winning out here. Let me know in the comments what you think, but I do think the prime is a touch sharper. So there you go. Let's just see if we can go a bit further out. Because what you tend to find is in the corners the zoom does tend to be a little bit less sharp. That's what I've found in the past. So remember, we're at 200%. That's the zoom and that's the prime. Zoom, prime. You can make more detail out of the tape they put around the light there in the prime, and in the zoom it just doesn't look as crisp. Let's just zoom out, just make sure we're looking at the right place. Right, no we're not. Sorry about that, guys. We need to look in the right place. Right, let's try again. You know, even us YouTubers make mistakes. So let's move in there at 200%. Move in there at 200%. So that's the prime. And that's the zoom. So yeah, you can see we've got more detail. Further in the corner, you're going to get more clarity. Don't forget that glass element on the 300 2.8 is a lot bigger, so you're going to resolve better detail. So again, that's the prime and that's the zoom. So yeah, it's not as sharp there. Next image is this boat, basically, Mystique. And let's have a look at the prime. Again, we're still getting 300 millimeters versus 300 millimeters, so it's comparable. No focus breathing at long distances. I think we're about 30 meters away again here. So on the prime, let's just zoom in there and try and fill this. Let's just zoom out a little bit more. So there you go. That's the prime. Now let's zoom in there with the zoom. That's the zoom. And that's the prime. Again, to be honest with you, when it comes to the central part of the image, I don't detect that much of a difference, if I'm honest with you. So, you know, obviously with the R6 only being 20 megapixels, we can't zoom in too much. So that's the zoom, and that's the prime. Zoom, prime. Yeah, I can't really notice any sort of major differences. Let's see if we can see anything in the corners though. So if we can look at this chrome here at 200%, and do the same on this one. Although slightly different place. So let's just pick a spot if we can. We'll look at this area here on the prime and do the same on the zoom. 200% versus 200%. So that's the zoom and that's the prime. Again, you've got to remember f8 versus f8. You're not going to see the differences. Obviously, if it was 2.8 versus 2.8, the differences will be a lot more different. Anyway, move on to the next image. It's up to you guys to make your own mind up. So we've got some signage here now. Salt on the harbour with the zoom. So I'll look at the prime again. What I want to do is go into the centre. So let's look at the restaurant text. See how that appears on the prime. 100%. Do the same with the zoom. 100%. So that's the 100-400 at 300mm zoomed in at 100%, and that's the 300 at 300mm obviously. They're very similar. I'm really seeing very little differences, if I'm honest with you. Let's see if we can notice anything in the brickwork here, in this area here. So let me zoom in at 200%. Do the same with the zoom. 200%. So that's the zoom. It's the prime. Zoom. Prime. If I was with you, the corners look a tad bit sharper than the zoom, but again, you've got to remember the front element is a lot bigger, can resolve more detail. It's going to be sharper because of that, and obviously zooms are going to be not as sharp as primes anyway. But if I'm honest with you, they're pretty much comparable with each other. I haven't noticed any major problems. So the final image. Final image is a building. I thought this would be a good way of seeing if we can tell any difference in sharpness in the centre versus the centre. So again, set to 300mm on the zoom, 300 on the prime. So let's zoom in this area here. So let's get into there at 100% and see if there's any differences between the prime. Distance is going to be quite large, so we may get some heat haze introduced into this image because of the distance. Because I'd estimate the distance is probably something like 100 to 200 meters away, a long way away. So let's zoom in there, 100%. So I'm just having a look at sharpness, seeing if there's any differences that I can see. So that's the prime, and that's the zoom. The zoom, and then the prime. The prime, and then the zoom. No, to be honest with you, I can't really tell the difference. I suppose we could try zooming a bit more in. 200%. See if that makes a difference. 200%. To be honest with you, at f8, I don't really expect much of a difference, because at closer distances you may tell a slight difference, but at longer distances you're not going to tell the difference between the two. So that's the prime and that's the zoom. Right, let's fit to screen, and let's pick a corner, bottom corner here on the prime. Let's go down to 100%. See if we can tell any difference. So let's go down to 200% there. Do the same again, although it's not quite the same, obviously framed image, the same place, but hopefully we get an idea. Let's go to 200%. Okay. So move it a bit across. So obviously what I'm going to be looking at is this part of the image here in the second part of the window in the zoom, and in the prime the same area. So that's the prime and that's the zoom. Prime, zoom. At longer distances, I'm seeing virtually no difference at all. So buying the more expensive lens doesn't really help you. So conclusion, both lenses seem to do well, perform well. The only thing I would say is the 2.8 300 lens seems to do better with extenders. I've noticed focus speed, even with a 2 times on, is equivalent to what you would get with the 100-400 at 400 millimeters. That's something I need to mention though. I did notice when I did my focusing test, and you can check my other videos to have a look at this, that when the 100-400 is at 400 millimeters, the autofocus slows down quite a bit compared to how it performs at 300 millimeters. You don't get that with the 300 obviously, because it doesn't go to 400 millimeters. Even slapping on a 2 times extender, I didn't notice much of a slowdown. However, if you do that with the zoom, you do get a significant slowdown. If I was to recommend using extenders with the 100-400, is just use the 1.4 extender. Don't use the 2x because it's just too slow. But you can use the 2x on the 300 with minimal loss in image quality. Anyway, I hope this video was a bit helpful, giving you a breakdown of these images. And thanks for watching, and I hope you have a nice evening. So, thanks for watching, guys. Please remember to subscribe to the channel and like the video, would appreciate it. So, we've come to the conclusion of the video today. We've been going around Bridlington, photographing the beach, boats. You see some live action boats coming in, past the pier. And I hope you enjoyed this video, because it's all about testing lenses and going to locations and seeing how they do in the real world. So ultimately, my take on the 2 lenses, the 100-400 Mark II L and the 300 2.8 Mark II, what I have to say is they're both fantastic lenses. They both perform really well, and I just want to say a big thank you for watching, and take care of yourself. Here is Paul Brogdon Photography signing out.